My name is Chris Campbell. I'm a practicing CPA and I work with small to mid-sized businesses and individuals to help them pay the least amount of money in taxes while keeping them out of jail. So today I wanted to talk about the dreaded notice from the IRS, the notice of intent to seize property. I get calls or emails when my clients get that letter in the mail because it's a little aggressive, right, from the IRS. And you're thinking, oh, I'm a couple days away from either the IRS showing up at my doorstep and taking my stuff or getting my bank account levied. A little more aggressive than the notices which you might have received. Usually when my clients get this, a lot of times there's panic. They're thinking that they're going to lose something pretty much any day now. So what I wanted to share is, and because I wind up guiding a lot of my clients through this, how to treat it and how to respond to it. So I'd figure I'd share some tips and pointers as some things to do if you were to receive such a notice. It could be pretty daunting. And if you haven't experienced it, you're thinking there's some big trouble ahead. If you don't do much and you don't respond to it, there can be, but all is not lost. I wanted to explain a few things that you should do. Give you a few pointers if you received it. First thing is don't panic, but don't ignore it. When you get that notice, many clients think they're a day or two from losing property or the IRS knocking on the door. If you get this in the mail, they usually give you a time frame before they take the next step of action. Normally, if you get such a letter, that wasn't their first notice. The initial notice is, hey, look, you owe. They're not as aggressive with it. They give you a deadline to pay the money. If you choose not to do anything, then that's when you get that next notice about, hey, we intend to seize on assets because they sent you that initial letter and you didn't do anything. You didn't respond. So that's why you get the letter that you got, right? Don't panic, but you do need to respond. You're not necessarily days away from having your property seized or your bank account levied. You do have to act on it though, but don't ignore it. Don't think it'll just go away or they'll forget, because the IRS will never forget. It may take a while for them to actually enforce anything, but they'll never forget. That is the first thing. The next thing you want to do is you want to understand what the issue is, right? Many times when clients look at that paperwork, they see the notice that says, hey, we're going to intend to seize the assets, but you might not know exactly what it's for, right? A lot of clients that I deal with, they see these notices and they just see that headline and they're like, the rest is gibberish to them. Many times they'll pass it off to me and be like, what's going on here? They understand the part about the assets being seized, but they don't know why. The next step is to figure out the issue. And that's by either reaching out to your professional. You don't necessarily know what it means and why they're sending you this notice. Reach out to your professional and have that person identify what's wrong and let you know what you're on the hook for and why you're getting that notice. Now, if you don't have a professional in your corner, you can always call the IRS. Call the IRS and you might even be able to put it in AI, right? Whether it be Chat, Gemini, whatever it is that you use. Upload the notice, hide your info, of course. Upload the notice and say, hey, put this in layman's terms. Why do I owe it? And you're going to get an explanation. So you have three ways, or just call the IRS. So you can call the IRS and they'll be happy to walk through with you what it is. So you just understand what's going on. This is where a professional helps, because if you do call the IRS and talk to someone prepared to wait for a very long time, that's where a professional will really help you, because they'll either A, be able to interpret it, or B, if a call does need to be put into the IRS, there is a phone line specifically dedicated to tax professionals. So the wait may not necessarily be as long. There is still a wait, but it may not be as long for the professional as it might be if you were to call on your own. So get to the heart of the matter. All right. So the next thing is, you want to stop the clock. That's the next thing that you want to do. Stop the clock. You got this notice. They said they're going to intend. So that means they're starting the collection process. So how do we stop the clock on that to keep them from moving forward? A couple of things that you can do to stop that process. A lot of times it's just having that communication with them. If you do owe, a lot of times it's hopping into a payment plan. You can set up a long-term payment plan where you just pay over time, or you can do a short-term payment plan. Short-term payment plan is you're pretty much letting the IRS know, hey, I'm going to pay this off in 6 months. You don't necessarily need to make payments over that time, but let's say if you owe some money and you're going to run into a bulk of that later on down the line. And once you run into that bulk, you're just going to pay it off. So that's going to happen within 6 months. You can let them know, hey, look, I'm going to get this in 6 months, short-term payment plan, and then you can pay it off. But given a couple options, it might be something as simple as you not filing a return. So get that return filed. So find out and do what you need to do to stop the clock. A lot of times It's really just a matter of communicating with them. I know with many of my clients, we were working through issues. And if you say, hey, look, we got to file this, we got to file that and get this in order. And as long as they see that you're showing good faith to get things done, they'll give you time to put it together. You got to be reasonable with them. The earlier you reach out to work with them, the more time they'll give you. If you ignore a notice and they try to come with them 2 years later, they may not be as patient with you to get things done because they're like, look, we've been trying to get in touch with you for 2 years. So now you're doing this. But if you work with them right away and show good faith that you're getting things done, they'll put hold and give you time to get things done. So do what you need to do, communicate with them, stop the clock, stop the collections process, the effort. Once you make that effort and reach out to them, follow through on what you said that you're going to do. That's one of the biggest things that gets people in trouble, and it limits your options when you don't. For example, if you come to them and say, hey, look, I'm going to do a short-term payment plan, and they give you 6 months to pay it off in full, and you don't do that, or especially if you haven't paid anything at all, you're going to have a harder time with them because even trying to set up payment plans, you said that you were going to do a payment plan and you broke the promise, right? You didn't follow through on what you said you were going to do. So you can't keep coming back to the same well as, all right, I knew I blew this other payment plan, but I'm going to just do this. I'm just going to do another one on the same debt that you owe. Once you blow a plan with them, limiting your options. Point being, you get into a payment plan, or if you say that you're going to deliver something by a particular time, follow through and make sure that you do it. When you talk to these agents, they have notes. So every action that you take, every resolution that has come up, they're putting notes on the account. So it's all notated. So when you talk to the next agent, they pull up the case to look at your notes and they say, oh, you said you were going to do this and you did. So you missed your leeway. You're giving up goodwill when you don't follow through on things that you said that you're going to do. So if you're going to set something up, make sure that you're going to do it. If for whatever reason you can't follow through, reach out and let them know that you're not going to be able to follow through. And that's before the time frame comes around. Again, they're limiting your options. You don't be able to do that. But in general, the idea is just stay proactive, follow up, and do what you said that you're going to do. All right. So that's all for now. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any more questions on this topic or any other tax or account related issues, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help. I'll talk to you next. Take care.